van was nothing more than a standard GMC delivery truck, black paint, empty interior, and zero charisma. Yet somehow, this unassuming machine transformed into the most recognizable vehicle on television. It didn't just carry the A-Team, it became a fifth member, thundering through explosions, gunfights, and outrageous stunts with impossible durability. But behind that bulletproof myth lies a darker truth. The paint job, an accident, the famous red stripe, a last-minute rebellion by Mr. T himself, and the armor plating that looked so tough on screen. It was illegal to drive on public roads, so how did a production mistake, a stubborn actor, and a few desperate prop makers end up creating one of Hollywood's greatest legends? Get ready, because what you're about to hear will change how you see that van forever. From lawsuits and secret test drives to military interest and black market thefts, this is the untold story. Buckle up. These are 20 shocking secrets behind the A-Team's legendary GMC Vandura van. Number 20, the color that was never planned. It all began with a mistake. The A-Team van's famous gray and black two-tone wasn't part of any design plan. The producers wanted a sleek, all-black look, something stealthy, almost militaristic. But when the paint shipment got delayed, the crew had no choice. They grabbed leftover gray primer from another project, mixed it with black paint, and hoped no one would notice. No one could have guessed that this temporary fix would define the van's identity forever. When George Peppard first saw it, he reportedly said, "Now that looks like something the A-Team would drive into battle." The network loved it, and just like that, a production blunder became television history. Every van built afterward had to match that same accidental shade of metallic gray. In fact, the production team later admitted that recreating the exact tone was harder than building the van itself. What started as desperation ended as design genius, proof that sometimes Hollywood's greatest icons are born from pure chaos. Number 19, Mr. T's Red Stripe Rebellion. The red stripe wasn't in the original concept either. On the first day of filming, Mr. T took one look at the van and shook his head. "Too plain," he said. "BA wouldn't drive this." He grabbed a roll of red tape and started marking a bold diagonal line along the side panels. The crew thought it was a joke, until he refused to stop filming until it was done. That spontaneous act became one of the van's most recognizable features. The prop department later replaced the tape with automotive paint and created a stencil to ensure every replica had the exact same angle and thickness. Fans often say the stripe represents B.A. Baracus himself, fierce, loud, and impossible to ignore. One YouTube commenter even joked, "That red line wasn't paint, it was attitude." They were right. Without that impulsive stroke of red, the A-Team van might have just been another anonymous TV vehicle. Instead, it became a moving symbol of 1980s power and rebellion. Number 18, Frankenstein interior. Step inside the A-Team van, and you'd think you're entering a high-tech mobile command center. Flashing monitors, radios, weapons racks, and gadgets everywhere. But here's the wild truth. Almost none of it was real. The entire interior was built from scraps of canceled TV shows. The prop designer, running out of budget and time, raided the Universal Studios warehouse. He grabbed anything that looked military or high-tech. The radar screen? From a fishing show that never aired. The computer consoles? Salvaged from Buck Rogers. Even the front seats were cast-offs from Knight Rider that didn't fit the kit car. Everything was glued, welded, and taped together. A literal Frankenstein creation. Total cost, under $2,000. Yet when the cameras rolled, it looked like $1 million war room. Years later, one of the studio technicians laughed. That van was the world's first recycling project. Fans still love the illusion. A perfect metaphor for the A-Team itself. Resourceful, patched together, and somehow unstoppable. Number 17, the GMC legal battle. You might assume GMC proudly sponsored the A-Team. After all, their logo was front and center on one of TV's most famous vehicles. But the truth, GMC didn't give permission, and they weren't happy about it. When the pilot aired, GMC's lawyers sent a cease and desist letter to Universal. Their concern wasn't the violence, it was liability. They feared kids would copy the stunts. The showrunners argued it was fair use. They had simply bought retail vans and customized them. After months of legal back and forth, they reached a truce. GMC could keep its logo in the show, but a small disclaimer had to appear in the credits saying the company did not approve any modifications. Ironically, once the show exploded in popularity, GMC reversed course. They started using the van's image in ads without the studio's consent, which triggered a second legal battle, this time in the opposite direction. Eventually, both sides dropped the lawsuits, realizing they were helping each other. GMC even released a limited edition A-Team package for its 1984 Vandura line. Just 200 units, now collector's gold. One fan commented, "Only in Hollywood can two lawsuits make a legend." Number 16, 6 Vans, 6 Lives. Most viewers believed there was only one A-Team van, a single indestructible beast that survived every explosion. In reality, there were 6. Each had a specific role, and no two were alike. Van number 1 was the beauty van, used for close-ups. It had a pristine interior, polished chrome, and a perfect paint job. Van number 2 was the stunt van, reinforced with roll cages and armor plating. It could take punishment. Van number 3 was the jump van, stripped down to reduce weight and fitted with heavy-duty suspension for those airborne moments. Then came Van number 4, the explosion van, rigged with quick-release panels and fireproof linings. They would literally blow it up, fix it, and blow it up again. Van number 5 was the backup beauty, ready when the hero van was in maintenance. Van number 6, the donor van, cannibalized for parts, its fate sealed as the team's unsung hero. By the final season, van number 6 was nothing but a hollow shell. Crew members nicknamed it the organ donor. Without it, none of the others would have survived production. This level of coordination was rare for an 80s TV show. The fact that fans believed it was all the same vehicle proves just how seamless Hollywood's illusions could be. Number 15, the functional spoiler that wasn't. That massive roof spoiler on the A-Team van, sleek, angular, instantly recognizable, wasn't just for style. It was a desperate fix for a serious problem, overheating. During desert shoots, the van's engine would hit dangerous temperatures. The crew had to stop filming every half hour to cool it down. The transportation coordinator came up with a wild idea. Build a spoiler that doubled as an air scoop, channeling more air toward the engine bay. It actually worked. The engine temperature dropped by about 15 degrees Fahrenheit, just enough to keep the cameras rolling. But it came with a price. The spoiler caused intense wind noise, ruining every audio take. As a result, every driving dialogue in the series was dubbed later in a sound booth. Years later, a fan who worked as a mechanic commented online, "The rear spoiler didn't cool anything. The front air dam did." He was partly right. The airflow system evolved over the seasons, mixing practical fixes and visual flair. But one thing's certain, that fake spoiler became an accidental icon, a reminder that even problem-solving can look heroic on camera. Number 14, too heavy for the studio. The A-Team van didn't just crush bad guys, it literally crushed buildings. After all the armor plating, equipment, and steel reinforcements, the vehicle weighed nearly 8,000 pounds, twice as heavy as a stock Vandura. That's about the same as a fully loaded pickup truck with a trailer. During Season 2, the crew parked the van on a studio soundstage. After 3 days, a loud crack echoed across the set. The floor gave way. The van's weight had fractured the wooden substructure, leaving a crater in the middle of the set. The repair bill, $50,000 and a week-long delay. It happened again in a parking garage during Season 3, and one more time in a warehouse during the show's final year. By then, the van had a reputation, part vehicle, part wrecking ball. From that point forward, studio engineers had to verify floor load capacity before letting the van enter any building. As one grip joked, the A-Team van doesn't just break the law, it breaks the floor. Number 13, Mr. T's driving disaster. It's ironic, but true. Mr. T never actually drove the A-Team van. He had a driver's license, of course, but the heavily modified Vandura was a beast. The armor made the steering unbelievably heavy. The brakes were ultra-sensitive, and the blind spots were enormous. Before filming began, Mr. T trained for 2 weeks behind the wheel. His final test ended in disaster. He accidentally plowed the van straight through the catering tent, destroying $30,000 worth of food. No one was hurt, but production halted for days. After that, the producers made a rule. Mr. T would only appear driving during close-ups with the van standing still. All moving scenes used professional stunt drivers wearing a wig and gold jewelry to match his look. Mr. T later admitted in an interview, "That van scared me more than any villain." Ironically, the man known for fearlessness was terrified of his own ride, proof that even icons have limits. Number 12, the vacuum cleaner turbo sound. Everyone remembers that signature whooshing jet noise when the A-Team van accelerated, a turbine-like roar that made it sound part tank, part fighter plane. But the truth behind that sound effect is hilarious. During post-production, the sound engineers couldn't find the right tone. The real van just sounded like a van. One day, a technician was cleaning the studio with an industrial vacuum. When he partially covered the hose, it made a high-pitched whine. He recorded it, slowed it slightly, layered it over the engine audio, and the result was perfect. From that day on, every chase scene in the show used that vacuum cleaner recording. It became one of TV's most recognizable vehicle sounds. Years later, fans tried to replicate it. One Texas enthusiast even installed a miniature jet turbine in his replica van. It worked for about 30 seconds before draining all the fuel. As another fan joked, it was the loudest 30 seconds in Texas history. Number 11, the deadly sliding door. That dramatic moment when BA threw open the van's sliding door, it looked cool on screen, but behind the scenes, it was pure danger. The door weighed over 200 pounds after all the armor plating and reinforcements. To make it slide faster for dramatic effect, the effects team added a spring-loaded assist mechanism. It made the door fly open like a missile. The first accident came when a camera operator got his hand caught. 2 broken fingers. A week later, a lighting grip was hit in the shoulder and had to take medical leave. The worst incident involved a guest actor who didn't step back in time. The door slammed into his ribs, cracking 2 of them. After that, the crew painted a yellow safety zone line on the floor. Only trained prop handlers were allowed to touch the door. George Peppard, who played Hannibal, refused to go near it afterward. In later seasons, his scenes were edited to make it look like he was standing next to the van when he was actually several feet away. Insurance nearly shut down production unless safety changes were made. As one crewman said, that door was deadlier than the bad guys. Number 10. Wheels worth more than a car. The A-Team van's signature wheels, polished chrome with red center caps, were more than flashy props. Each custom-made wheel cost $12,000 in 1983, more than most cars at the time. Why so expensive? Regular aluminum wheels couldn't handle the van's reinforced weight. The producers commissioned centerline wheels to forge a special alloy strong enough to carry the 8,000-pound monster. Each wheel took 40 hours to manufacture. But the real headache wasn't the metal, it was the color. The red center caps had to match the stripe on the body exactly. The first batch came out too orange, the second too dark. By the third attempt, they found the right tone, but the paint chipped off during stunts. The solution, anodizing the caps, which tripled the cost. In total, the production went through 14 complete sets of wheels during the show's run, 56 individual rims. That's roughly $692,000 in wheel expenses alone. When producers tried cheaper replicas in Season 4, car enthusiasts noticed immediately and sent angry letters. As one fan quipped, only the A-Team could destroy a $600,000 set of rims and still look cool doing it. Number 9. The sunroof panic. That sleek sunroof on top of the A-Team van wasn't added for looks. It was installed out of necessity. Dirk Benedict, who played the charming con man Templeton Face Peck, was severely claustrophobic. The first time he climbed into the van with all the cameras, lighting rigs, and co-stars, he froze. His breathing quickened, and he nearly passed out. Production halted. Recasting was even considered until a member of the transportation crew had a bold idea: cut a hole in the roof. They installed a marine-grade sunroof that could open completely, allowing Dirk to stick his head out whenever anxiety kicked in. It worked. Dirk was able to film comfortably, and the sunroof became part of the van's design. In several episodes, fans can spot Face casually leaning through it, a subtle nod to his off-screen phobia. It also solved another problem: the interior heat. The studio lights made the van sweltering during long scenes. Opening the sunroof turned it into a natural air vent, a happy accident to once again save the day, and an actor's sanity. Number 8. The theme song horn. In one episode from Season 2, B.A. honks the van's horn. and it plays the A-Team theme song. Fans went wild believing the van had a custom musical horn. In reality, it was a total accident. During filming, the original horn broke. The sound crew didn't have time to replace it before the next shot. One engineer had a small synthesizer in his truck. He quickly programmed it to play a few notes from the A-Team theme, connected it to the horn button, and said, "Try this." It worked, and everyone on set loved it. The producers wanted to make it permanent, but the vibration from the moving van kept crashing the synthesizer, so it was scrapped after that one episode, though the sound editors later added the musical horn digitally in 2 more scenes. For decades, fans debated whether the horn was ever real. One online commenter even claimed, "I built my own A-Team horn in my garage. Best mistake of my life." That single improvisation created a myth that still honked about 40 years later. Number 7. The real armor scandal. The A-Team van looked bulletproof on screen because it actually was. The production team used real ballistic steel plating, the kind used in armored cars. But here's the catch. Under California law, it was illegal to operate an armored civilian vehicle without a special permit. To test it, the crew took one of the stunt vans into the Nevada desert and fired live rounds at it. 38 caliber bullets bounced off. 9mm didn't leave a dent. Even some rifle rounds failed to penetrate. The armor worked too well, and that became a problem. When the California Highway Patrol heard about the tests, they threatened to impound all 6 vans. The producers had to sign affidavits claiming the armor was decorative only and non-functional. Even though they knew it wasn't true, they continued using the vans anyway, carefully avoiding highway patrol routes. One broke down on the freeway once, and a special tow truck had to be called because normal rigs couldn't lift it. As one fan later said, the van might have been fake on TV, but in real life, it was more bulletproof than the plot. Number 6. The black market for parts. By season 3, the A-Team van had become such a pop culture obsession that it created something no one expected: a black market for stolen parts. It started small. A crew member quietly sold a damaged center cap from one of the rims for $500 to a collector. Word spread. Soon mirrors, badges, and even seats began disappearing from the studio lot. Some fans were so determined they posed as mechanics or janitors just to sneak pieces out. One night, someone unbolted an entire sliding door from one of the vans and vanished. Months later, the same door surfaced in Japan, sold for $20,000 to a die-hard fan who believed it was authentic battle armor. The studio hired guards to protect the vehicles, marking each part with invisible UV ink to deter thefts. But even that didn't stop them. By the show's end, they estimated over $100,000 worth of parts had gone missing. As one prop manager joked years later, "Forget the villains, the real thieves were the fans." Number 5. Mr. T's Jewelry Mayhem. Mr. T's gold chains and heavy rings were his trademark, and the bane of the prop department. Every time he climbed into the van, the metal clinked and scraped against the interior. By the end of the first season, the driver's door looked like it had been clawed by a tiger. Deep gouges, chipped paint, and worn leather. The steering wheel was shredded by his rings, replaced 4 times during production. Even the dashboard had visible dents from where he rested his hands during dialogue scenes. They tried everything: clear protective film, rubber coatings, soft wraps. Nothing worked. Mr. T's jewelry cut through all of it. Eventually, the crew gave up and simply budgeted for annual repairs caused by accessories. Ironically, after the series ended, one of the damaged vans sold for 3 times more than the pristine one. Collectors called it authentic because it still had Mr. T's scratch marks. As one auctioneer said, "Those aren't damages, they're signatures." Number 4. Insured like a cast member. The A-Team van was so vital to the show that NBC didn't just insure the physical vehicles, they insured the character of the van itself. The policy classified it as a non-human performer, the same category used for famous animal actors. If anything happened that prevented the van from appearing on screen, production could claim lost revenue. The coverage cost $50,000 per season. The van even had a call sheet number. The actors were listed as 1 through 4, and the van was number 5. Crew members sometimes joked, "The van gets better insurance than we do." The policy paid out twice. Once when multiple vans were under repair at the same time, forcing a production delay, and once when van number 1 was stolen and later found in Mexico. apparently taken by someone who wanted to start his own A-Team. An insurance agent reportedly asked on the claim form, was the vehicle conscious at the time of the accident, proving that even bureaucracy couldn't keep up with Hollywood's weirdness. Number 3, engine swap deals. If the A-Team van had an identity crisis, it started under the hood. The show's producers changed the engine every single season, not because they broke down, but because of product placement deals. In Season 1, the van ran on a Chevy 350 small block, modified for stunts. Season 2 brought a 454 big block, courtesy of Chevrolet's marketing department. Season 3, a turbocharged 350 from Turbonetics. By Season 4, Detroit Diesel wanted in, installing a diesel V8 to prove it could perform like gas. Each swap required major re-engineering, new mounts, transmissions, cooling systems, and sound tweaks. Ironically, performance got worse with every upgrade. The diesel engine was so loud that dialogue had to be dubbed later in post-production. Mechanics on set joked that the van didn't know who it wanted to be, but the constant swaps kept sponsorship money flowing, essential for funding explosions, crashes, and other high-budget stunts. As one crewman said, every time we opened the hood, it was like meeting a new personality. The A-Team van wasn't just one vehicle. It was 4 mechanical reincarnations of the same legend. Number 2, the Mexico incident. In 1985, the A-Team crew took Vandura 3 across the Mexican border to film some quick establishing shots. Without proper permits, the heavily armored vehicle with fake guns visible through the windows quickly drew attention from local authorities. Within minutes, they were surrounded by armed police who believed it was a real U.S. military vehicle operating illegally in Mexico. The crew tried to explain in broken Spanish, waving call sheets and production notes, but the sight of fake rifles and armor didn't help. Soon the Mexican military arrived. Soldiers pointed rifles at the crew as the director pleaded over the radio to Universal Studios for help. It took 6 hours and intervention from the U.S. Embassy to resolve the standoff. NBC was fined $50,000 and Mexico banned the A-Team from filming there again. Newspapers ran the story under sensational headlines. Fake TV van nearly starts international incident. From then on, the vans required special documentation to cross any border, including proof that their weapons were props and the armor was non-functional, which, of course, it wasn't. Number 1, when the U.S. Army came knocking, the weirdest fact of all. In 1986, the U.S. Army Special Forces contacted Universal Studios about purchasing the A-Team van's design. Apparently, military engineers had studied the show for its unconventional warfare tactics and concluded that the van's modular interior layout was brilliant for light urban missions. They wanted blueprints and the rights to produce real military versions. A surreal meeting followed. Hollywood prop makers sitting across from uniformed Army officers, discussing armor placement and equipment racks. The engineers didn't care that half the van's electronics were fake. They said, Hollywood accidentally built a better urban assault vehicle than most defense contractors. Universal refused to sell, fearing legal and PR issues, but according to production notes, the Army's research division kept a file titled Project A-Team Van, complete with sketches and proposed field modifications. As one producer later joked, we built a TV prop so convincing the Pentagon wanted to weaponize it. And that more than anything proves the A-Team van's true power, a Hollywood illusion that fooled even the real military. From an accidental paint job to a real military inquiry, the A-Team van's story is proof that legends aren't built. They're assembled, piece by chaotic piece. Every dent, every scratch, every over-the-top stunt added another layer to its myth. It wasn't just a prop, it was the beating heart of a show that defined an era. Mr. T once said, "The van was the 5th member of the team," and he was right. It represented everything the A-Team stood for: toughness, ingenuity, rebellion, and a refusal to quit, no matter how ridiculous the odds. Even decades after the show ended, replicas of the A-Team van still roll across car shows and comic conventions. Some are pristine restorations, others rough and weathered, but all share the same message. Heroes may fade, but the machine rolls on. Before we reveal our final thought, if you love discovering the hidden truths behind Hollywood's most iconic rides, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tell us in the comments, which of these 20 secrets surprised you the most? Because in the end, the A-Team van wasn't just a vehicle, it was attitude, it was defiance, It was the 1980s, roaring on four wheels.